Hey everybody! In this video, I'm just going to do some very simple masking of this adorable picnic basket image. I'm going to do a black and white +1 card. That's a challenge that we have a lot at Split Coast Stampers, and I always end up loving the cards that I make that are black and white with one single other color. And since this is a picnic basket, obviously that other color has to be red. So I will get this good and stamped. I have it sitting on a grip mat inside my MISTI. I know you can't see it because it's clear, but it holds it in place and I don't have to worry about it moving on me. Little different from a sticky mat, and I'm really liking it. So what I did was I cut out just the area where the little napkin would be. So everything else is made of masking paper, in case that wasn't obvious. And then those are little openings. And I saved this little tiny side piece to stick back on there and make sure that that edge was masked off as well, just so that the only gingham pattern that I get is going to be in that napkin area. So I have this all masked, and I'm going to add a little extra protection at the edges to make sure that I don't mess up my card. But the most exciting thing about this little plaid stamp is that it's a seamlessly repeating stamp. So it's a small stamp, but you can make the pattern go as long as you want. So I will be showing you exactly how to do that. It's very easy. So I am inking this up, of course, just classic bright red here. And I'll stamp this a couple times to get it really, really intense. And then I will line up the pattern. So you'll see at the edge how there's the striped part ends. And then on the left, you have kind of the solid line with the solid checks and the striped checks. That's how it becomes seamlessly repeating. So I'm going to move this a bit on my grip mat so I have room for this stamp. But see how easy it is to line up? You just move it to the other end, and then it's going to alternate stripes and solids, and it's very easy to do. So you can repeat this pattern both up and down and side to side, because you can see that they made it end the same way on the right side and on the bottom if you have the stamp oriented like I do here. So I'm going to just extra insurance with another piece of paper. I'm always terrified I'm just going to mess up the card base. It's just a piece of paper. I need to calm down. But anyway, I'm an overmasker. I can admit that. So this tape is going to have some wet ink on it. It's kind of non-porous. And so you just want to be careful when you're removing it that you don't get it on your fingers and then kind of mess up the rest of your project. But wait until you see this reveal. It's so cute. Look, it's just on the napkin. It looks like it was made that way. So awesome. I love it so much. And I will fill in the little strings at the end, so I'll show you how I do that. So now I'm going to, because I can't leave anything alone, I'm going to do a little stamp etching on here. This is a word for a technique that I made up many years ago, where you just add fine lines as shading to a stamp. And I really think that this makes the basket weave look extra realistic. So I think it's worth the time doing it, especially since this is such a quick card. You're really just stamping twice and you're done. So I like to add these little extra touches to just kind of make it my own. Even though this is a beautiful little piece of art, I like to put my own little kick in there. And the easiest way to do that is with a very, very fine pen. This one is a 0.005 micron pen. And that's about right for the scale of this design, I would say. So anything thicker and it's going to look a little bit heavy-handed and maybe not so much like wicker. So pick your very thinnest gel pen that you have, if that's all you have, or if you have a set of these microns, get the 0.005. Copic has great multi-liners too that come in very fine points. So you'll be able to find one. So this doesn't take too long. I am going to do some additional shading at the end because in addition to being an overmasker, I'm a little bit of an overworker when it comes to shadows. And I had the tool that I'm going to use already sitting on my desk. So don't ever clean your desk because all that's going to do is stifle your creativity. You can tell everybody that I told you that. So I'm going to finish this up. It really doesn't take long. And there's not really anything you need to add on the top of the basket because the wicker is so much a tighter pattern up there, so you don't need to worry about that. I will add a little bit of detail to the center of the flowers, but there aren't very many of them where I can add it. So it's just a couple of them that I'm just doing the same thing, adding a couple lines just to darken them up. This is really the beauty of a black and white design is there's not much to do, but any little amount that you do adds quite a bit. So now I have die cut that. I love how close this die cuts, and I'm going to build a little scene underneath it with the plaid stamp again, but also with this amazing ants background stamp. Oh my gosh, so cute. And I think I'm going to use the happy birthday. You can't have picnics where I live because you're going to get chiggers and maybe get bit by a snake. So we don't really do the picnic thing. So I'm not going to make a picnic card. I'm going to make a happy birthday card because I can always use that. So I will put this back in here and I'm just using this to align the whole scene and make sure that I have enough room for everything. So I'm going to mask off a portion that's just a tiny bit smaller than the plaid stamp because I don't want there to be any extra showing. I want it to kind of overlap. And then here's where you're going to get a better sense of how this is a repeating stamp. So I'm going to stamp it in the same color and stamp it a couple times so it's nice and crispy and bold. And then I'll show you how it repeats again over on this side. So see how the little striped ones are sticking out, but there are no solid ones? That's how we're going to line that back up with the solid one on the side. And again, if you have the stamp in the other orientation, just do the opposite. But this makes it super easy to line up. So on this card front, so this is a 4 by 5 1/4 card panel. So it's just going to take 2 of these times to stamp it and it's going to be all done. So I will take that off. Make sure you clean it and note that a lot of times red ink can stain stamps. So that's just a reality of red pigments. Your stamp's just fine. Don't worry about it if it gets a little stained. Then I'm going to protect the rest of the card from the background stamp because this is one of the large bold print clings, so it's a 6 by 6. So I'm actually going to switch Misty's because the grip mat in that other one takes the place of the foam, and this one I just have a sticky mat in, so that's kind of the difference between those two things. So that accommodates the size of the rubber cling stamp. So I'm going to ink this up, and I have to tell you, the first time I stamped this stamp, I squealed because the ants are so tiny and so detailed. I didn't realize that they were going to be so cute, but they are so cute. I love them so much. You're going to see how cute that is with those little ants marching all around that little basket. You never want it in real life, but it's adorable on a card. Absolutely adorable. I love their teeny tiny little legs. It's just too much. They're so cute. So now I'll put a little bit of glue on the back of the basket and pop that onto the tablecloth, my imaginary tablecloth. And then I will stamp and die cut the happy birthday from the set. So please do note there are these amazing close cutting dies that come with this stamp set that let you cut out the sentiment. And I think I'll align it over to the right hand side. I don't know why I like to do that. I absolutely no reason for it, but I do like to offset my greeting a little bit to one side or the other. And I think this looks so cute over there on the right. Maybe it's just because my brain is so trained to go from left to right. It makes sense. But look at those ants. Oh my gosh. The ants are really the star of the show. I think they're so cute. So now you can see that the strings are still blank. I will fix that. Don't worry about that. It's very, very easy to do. And I have a little bit of extra glue that I'm going to get off of there. Look at the ants again. I'm going to make you look at these ants like 5 more times. I'm not even kidding. So now I have a very fine point marker that matches my ink, and I'm just going to alternate doing some kind of solid parts and some stripe parts. Since it's just the string, you're not going to be able to tell where it lines up, but look how accurate that looks. It looks really good. Now here comes the overworking part. I had this gray pencil sitting on my desk, and I was like, you know what? That napkin would have a shadow underneath it in real life, and so I probably better put a shadow under it. So I'm just adding just a tiny bit of gray. I think this does add a lot on an image like this where there's like a very clean element, which is that napkin, like clean line, and there's kind of a busier thing going on with the wicker that I etched a little bit. And so I think to make it look really dimensional, this little extra step really helps a lot. So and you can do it with an alcohol marker if you want. I just happen to have this pencil sitting here. So I thought, why not? I'll just shade it. I could have gone on and overworked it some more and shaded in between the little wicker lines to give them a deep shadow. So it's a good thing I caught a hold of myself so that this video wasn't 72 hours long, because that can easily happen. You have no idea. So I'll go around the edges too. Again, I think that just makes it really look like a 3-dimensional basket. Take one more look at those ants, for real. You can shadow inside where the napkin would be overlapping that top little rail too. That's what I decided to do. And I didn't do any shading on the top part of the basket. If you think about the setting this would be in, all your light would be coming from up there anyway. So I just left it as is. But peek at the ants again and check them out here on this close-up of the card, which I think is so cute. And head over to the blog for more information. And thanks so much for watching.